All right, welcome everybody. Welcome to Talking Investing. I'm Tom. I'm here with George.
Yep, and you guys didn't make it. 17.
For those of you in the chat, George put out a challenge to give out some free memberships, and you guys just missed. Those were freebies. It was a no-brainer. Well, maybe next time. In the meantime, I think everybody's more concerned about
Marathon.
Marathon.
Tom, I almost feel he debated you. I'll say us.
We definitely, I'm sure everybody wants to talk about Marathon right now. I want to talk about Marathon. So my first word will be, I am baffled at what they did. And I have mixed feelings. I'm gonna make the case for what they did. I'm gonna make the case against what they did. But I'll tell you right up front, even though I do think there's a case for and against, I do not like what they did. So that's the bottom line. I don't like it. It doesn't make sense to me. I would not have done that. So FV702 email for that CEO douche. Can we say that? That's a valid product. For Mara, por favor. I'm sure you can get a hold of him via the website. Although I'm guessing there's a long line of people right now that would like to have a word or two with Fred. And, man, we just talked to him. And I did ask him a couple of different questions that were totally relevant to this, and I think he just kind of danced around and obviously if they had something big planned, he couldn't sit there and go, "Oh, by the way, we're about to do a massive dilution." Having said that, then don't come on. Don't do an interview if you're about to do a big thing that you can't talk about. That's my reaction, I guess. Oh, that's one tiny piece of my reaction.
Right.
Darren saying George doesn't trust Mara.
That is really funny that, the way they set us up.
Yeah, big time. And their stock was down almost 12% today. At one point, it was down 15%. I will make a case for why I think that doesn't make sense, even though I strenuously disagree with what they did.
You disagree, huh?
I'm going to go through the math and tell you why I don't think... I think it makes sense to be frustrated with them. I don't think they did the right thing. It's certainly not what I would have done. This was a gigantic... So I think this was a gigantic hedge against Bitcoin having a disastrous 3 years. And I just do not think a hedge against a 3-year down cycle from here is necessary. And if you think it is, you probably shouldn't be the largest Bitcoin mining publicly traded company. My personal opinion.
So basically they did it because they felt that their stock is going to go down?
I'm going to dig deeper than this, but in a nutshell, I would say they did this in fear that potentially their stock was not going to reach over the next, and remember, this debt is not due for 3 years and 3 months. So that's almost another full Bitcoin cycle. And it's 1% interest. So essentially they were betting, this is a hedge against the fact that, maybe they never ever get anywhere near their previous all-time high. That's the only sense that I can make out of this. And
Did they need money, Tom? Because that's what everybody in the chat's saying.
Well, that's got nothing to do with this because this gets them no money. None. This was a non-cash transaction. Net proceeds, 0. Net in-pocket, 0. Net out-of-pocket, 0. This was a paper-only transaction, and it just was not necessary. It makes so this doesn't get them any money. It doesn't get them in a position where they're better suited to like go out and get more debt or equity in the future. It does nothing. The only thing this does is hedge against the possibility. They have $734,000 of convertible notes. Those notes are at 1%. They are due in December of 2026. The strike point that on those notes is $76, which means in the year 2026, people that hold those that convertible debt, we're going to have to pay $76 a share to convert it to equity. Now, if Marathon is not, at some point in the next 3.5 years, if Marathon is not trading at $76, then, you know, in my opinion, probably, you know, I don't want to say they failed, but that would be drastically short of where management's position is. And in addition to that, so the most important thing is, so they converted $417 million. So that's much more than half of it, right? It was I think it was $734 million the last time they reported. It might have been plus or minus of that. So, you know, they converted about 60% of that from debt to equity. Now, this is why I don't think it makes sense for the shares. Yes, it was a 15% dilution of their stock, but they just paid off, in quotes, because no money changed hands. They just eliminated $417 million of debt. So that means you're assigning no benefit to the company for getting rid of $400 million in debt and diluting 15%. If the shares go down 15%, that means you think that there was no benefit to the company in paying off $400 million of debt. Their balance sheet is no stronger, and obviously, just mathematically speaking, that's just grossly incorrect. So I think for that reason, the move down doesn't make sense. Now, if the move down is because you think this is a bonehead move and you've lost faith in management and you don't care, you just want out, then, you know, that's a different story. Chris Dominator has, you know, Chris Dominator switched. But I will say, Chris, unless I'm wrong, let me know. You've been commenting 2 years that Marathon is the best of all the Bitcoin mining companies. Now, I will say, sometime in the last 60 days, you switched and said, get out of Marathon, get into Riot. And so you were definitely very vocal about that. But am I remembering wrong? You were, I mean, in my mind, you were the #1 Marathon fan out of all the people in our world. Let me know if I'm remembering that wrong, but I'm pretty sure that. Now, I do also very distinctly remember you switching gears and saying, nope, out with Mara, in with Riot. So,
just so you guys all know, Tom is sitting in a hot house right now.
Oh.
How hot is the house, Tom?
So, it is now 89 degrees in this house.
Oh, 89 degrees.
So that's why this is Dress Down Friday for me. I'm in a t-shirt because I cannot wear my normal shirt. I have a fan blowing on me. It's 89 degrees in here, but I certainly was not going to skip the live stream when Marathon did their thing here today. So the show must go on. But that's why I'm in my short sleeve t-shirt, because it's 89 degrees. And it's the old saying, it's not the heat, it's the humidity. It's so humid. I'm in Southwest Florida, so like we're still, you know, in the 90s humidity here. So it's brutal. But I'm not even thinking. I'm so revved up about what Marathon did. I'm not even thinking about it for now. If you enjoy this content, if you want to help this channel, or if you just feel like it, you can smash the like button. That would be much appreciated. And if you're not a member, or if you're new to the channel, please feel free to subscribe. We talk about Bitcoin, the Bitcoin miners all the time. We've really focused on that for quite some time. I do look at a lot of other stocks, and we do in the members only, which is different. We could talk about that later, but it's only $5 a month. If you're interested, you can become a member. You can hit the join button on the YouTube page right next to the subscribe button. In the meantime, though, if you don't feel like that, you can at least become a subscriber. We talk about the Bitcoin miners, and there, I know there's a few people out there. It's a pretty small group of people that focus on the Bitcoin miners. This is obviously one of those channels, so I know we have an awful lot of people that have been with us for years now, so much appreciation.
It's not even talking Bitcoin, it's talking investing, Tom.
That's right. That's the goal of all this, and we used to talk about a lot of other things. We really have fixated on this, and I do want to talk about one or two other things today.
EVs, sorry.
Hey, and I want to talk. One of the things I want to talk about today is
is Crypto Fever on?
I don't know.
Yeah, he probably doesn't want to show his face.
Chris Dominator said 146 watching and only 42 thumbs up. Come on, guys, do some work. Thank you, Chris. Tom, sell your Mara and buy an air conditioner. The problem in Southwest Florida is you can buy all the air conditioners you want. There's nobody that works here anymore, so there's nobody to install them. Right? I'm into day 4, and
we got somebody.
We got somebody, but we don't even have an appointment set up yet, right? I mean, it's.
Yeah, I mean, I said, can I pay a deposit to make this go faster? And they said, nope.
No, because they don't have anybody. It's a separate issue. Like getting work done in Southwest Florida.
Yeah, it's sad.
This is ridiculous. FE702 said, smash the like for hate of Marathon and Fred. I don't love the fact that Fred, after all these years, we finally get down and sit down with Fred, and I asked him specific questions that were, relevant to this issue. And like I said, I understand that he wasn't going to answer those, but then, say, hey, I got to wait 3 days before the interview. I'll talk to you on Friday or Monday. Right, then we could have talked about this, but, instead he does the interview before that, and kind of, I'm not going to say...
So, Tom, what would be the reason of why he did this? I mean, there has to be another reason. It doesn't make any sense when you have 3 years.
I'll go through the reason why I think they did this, and I'll also go through the reason why technically I do actually think financially they're a better company for doing this. Having said that, I still think it was by far the wrong thing to do, because they could have there's no reason for them not to wait. Well, I won't say no reason. In my opinion, I would have waited it out. Because all this debt was going to go away. They were never going to have to pay a penny for any of it. And if they did, that means that kind of means that either Bitcoin or Marathon failed in the middle. And, if that happens, then, then it doesn't matter anyway. That's my opinion. Crypto golfer Sam Bankman, or we got all kinds of polls. Who do we hate more? Mark is saying, just bad timing, Tom. LOL. I mean, I know. Chris Dominator
I
saying,
hope so.
Fred, scammer. Sour Mountain Gaming. I'm here, Tom. Sorry I'm late. Pretty frustrated with Fred after the foolish move. Excellent interview, by the way. Too bad Fred had to go and blow up Marathon like that. Stupid move. Well, welcome, Sour Mountain Gaming. And yes, we are all agreeing. That's what we're discussing right now. So far, I don't think there's a single person that liked this move. I'm guessing that reflects the general population, since the stock was, this day, other than a couple, Iris Energy, which trades contrarian often, was green today, but pretty much we were red across the board, but not like Marathon. 2-3% was the normal. Marathon was down just under 12%, and they were worse than that for much of the day. So let's get a poll going. All right, you guys are going to think this poll is ridiculous, but let's just let's just make it official.
Yeah. Make it official. I just don't know why they would do, if they had 3 years to wait.
Okay, so everybody, I mean, I think we all know, but it will be, but vote, listen, vote the truth. If you liked this, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. So, the question is, who thinks Marathon made a good move converting $417 million of debt to equity?
Well, I will say one thing. It helps them out.
How do you feel expand?
Well, remember when I said they're going to go out of business?
Yes, you've been saying they're going to go out of business. You're on record. Not today, not tomorrow, but you think
No,
Marathon's
I mean, I think
ultimately
long-term,
going out of business.
I think that this long-term changes that. Do you disagree? Or
I disagree with that.
Well, why?
Because they have, here's what, so let me, while you guys are voting, I'm going to talk about exactly what I think they did here. So they had $734 million of convertible debt. And, I'm just going to go, I went into the 10Q and I copied the relevant section and highlighted. So you'll see they do this in thousands. So it looks like 734,000, but this is $734 million of convertible debt. That debt was due in December of 2026, and the conversion rate ends up, doing the math, ends up being about $76.17 per share. So 3 years and 3 months from now, anybody that held this debt was going to have the option to convert it to equity at $76. Now, if the stock was trading at $50, nobody was going to take that option. So I think the fear here is that they were going to get, if they could not get back to this $76 strike point, then this debt was going to stay debt, and they were going to have to actually pay the $734,000 back. So
now you're seeing why I think it helps them long term.
But here's my issue. They converted, let's just do the math here. So we'll get the exact number, or not the exact, but approximate number. So this about 56%. They took about 56% of this and converted it at $16 a share. So if I'm a negotiator of any kind, if I'm, let's say, the CEO of the largest publicly traded Bitcoin mining company, and I have a bunch of debt that's convertible at $76 a share, and there's 3 years and 3 months, if you want to try to hedge your bet, was $16 a share the absolute best price that they could get right now? And if so, then was today the best day to make this deal? Because are you telling me that over the next 3 years, they couldn't have found a way to dump this at $30 or $40? Even if they couldn't get the 76, you don't think they could have got to 30 or 40? Right? What if their share, what if Bitcoin has, so that means everybody thinks that Bitcoin's not everybody. The Marathon thinks Bitcoin will not have a bull run in the next 3 years and 3 months. Because just one bull run is going to put their stock somewhere, 30, 40, 50 bucks. That's just, unless they fail at their business. So, maybe they know something that we don't know, which is their underlying business model doesn't work, and the whole thing's going to fail. But if the whole thing's going to fail, then it doesn't make any difference what they do with this, because failing is failing. So, if you go to zero, you're going to go to zero regardless of how you convert this debt in the middle. I don't think their business is going to fail, right? I think they've got issues to address. No Bitcoin miner is perfect. Their cost per coin is too high, but there's a lot of things they can do between now and then to reduce their cost per coin, They have the most efficient fleet. The price that they pay for energy is a little high. So, they have a lot of time between now and then to make a better deal than this, right? Because the deal that was on the table was you're going to get to convert this at $76 a share. So they just capitulated all the way down to, I'll tell you what, we'll agree to let you convert it at $16 if you just get rid of it. Am I making sense? Is this?
Oh yeah, it makes sense.
So the question is,
I'm thinking of the arguments.
This is very close, by the way.
I'm thinking of the lawsuits, by the way.
A lot of people liked this. Right now, 35% of people think they did the right thing doing this. So this is the ultimate hedge. This is just a straight up, and businesses often do this. They hedge. This is a big bet for them, right? It's a $734 million bet. They're a $2 billion company. That is a tremendously oversized portion of their overall worth. So if you feel like, you know what, this is such a monstrous bet that even if it's a bad deal, just getting rid of 55% of this is a good hedge going forward. That's I told you I would explain my bull case, my support of why you might want to do this, and then the reason that I think that you shouldn't want to do this. So that would be my line of reasoning is, listen, it's just too much risk out there. From a risk management standpoint, we got to get rid of some of this convertible debt. Find the best price you can do it at and just do it. And that's what it feels like the management, whether it was the board of directors, whatever the case may be, to me, that's what it feels like the conversation that they had. And by the way, they didn't just decide this in the last 3 days. I now feel, the one part I feel a little bit duped about is, they did, if you look at, so they raised their number of authorized shares from 200 million to 500 million. That is one of the questions that I asked Fred and that we talked about. So, I'll let you guys listen to his answer. And I'm not saying he said anything that was not true, but my sense was, I took him at face value that, listen, there's some special rules in Nevada where it's difficult to accomplish this versus other states. So we did not want to have to do, every single company has increased the number of authorized shares. So this was a very big increase, and he's saying, there's certain things that make it more difficult and challenging, so we wanted to do it all at once. FE702 right now jumped in with a super chat saying, Fred getting sued. So I took them at their word that, listen, they just, over time, obviously, these are high growth companies. These are still, even at $2 billion, this is a small cap, high growth company. They're in a high growth industry. This is a very capital intensive business model. So all of these companies are going to dilute. Some of them have done less dilution than others, but if any one of these companies that's going to succeed, so this is my personal opinion, some people might think, you know what, if you could just stay the size you are right now forever, never grow, and the business model is going to work. And if you believe that, then your company won't have to dilute. But if you believe that you're going to have to keep up with the exahash race, debt's not available to this. You can't generate enough cash flow from operations to facilitate the cash requirements for CapEx. So that only leaves dilution. So it made sense. Okay, yes, they're going to do more dilution over time. So are all the other Bitcoin miners, and so have all the other Bitcoin miners, with a few exceptions. A couple of companies have done very little to date, but if they hope to stay in the game, that their policy is going to change drastically, and there's a lot of dilution to come for those companies. So, however, now we know that one of the reasons they did this is because they knew they were going to turn around and issue 26 million shares. That's 15% dilution, and they don't even get any money for that. So again, one of the keys to this is this did not bring 1 penny in the door. Zero. So you just diluted.
Who had the loan? I mean, who gave him the money? Was it a hedge fund? Was it a capital investor? What do you know who it was?
It's anybody who bought into the convertible debt. So it was open to the.
Oh, it was an open convertible debt thing?
Right. So, and I'm sure there were certain, players that were significant inside of this.
By the way, does this change anybody's outlook on Bitcoin right now, by the way?
We got 97 votes. So first of all, thank you. We got 80 likes. Thank you very much. We've got 97 votes, which is in 9 minutes. Very good for one of our polls. And this is much, much closer. See, I when I did this poll, I was like, I'll do the poll, but I think we know how everybody feels. But guess what? 37% of the people thought this was a good idea. This was a good hedge to take. I don't know that those people are speaking in the comments section because I don't think I've seen anybody in the comments section like this move.
Well, I said, just so you know, I said I thought it was a good. Remember, because I said what I think it does means that they can be around longer.
But why?
Why? Because now they don't have to worry about their debt.
Well, they only have to worry about $330 million of that instead of 700. So, so they're already going to be able to be around for 3 years and 3 months because none of this matters for the next 3 years and 3 months.
Right.
But this you think extends their ability. But at that point, if they need this at that point, this is not, to me, this will not be an investment worthy stock. Because that means we went through another bull cycle, years and years of growth. They're already the largest Bitcoin miner. And that means that, by 2027, because this is December 2026 is when this comes to, that means by 2027, Bitcoin has not reached a price where Marathon even gets back to where they were in 2021. That's 6 years later. So, yes, possibly, this could allow them to linger and dwindle down to zero for an extra year or two or whatever the case may be. But I don't think they're going to be in that situation. That's not my, even though I don't like what they did, I don't think this is a failing company. But that's my opinion.
Right.
Is there anybody, I haven't read the comments as much, George. Is there anybody in the comments making the case for this? Because a lot of people did like what they did here.
No, not really.
So
like his personal pockets are full.
I mean, 40-some.
I think it's good. Oh yeah, Barry just said, I think it's good. Less risks. If I was to buy now, not good if you're already owned. So pull up Marathon right now and let's see what they ended up trading at after hours and let's see.
I mean, they're down 11.7% on the day, about 12%, and it was worse. They're low, so they finished at $10.91. Their low on the day was $10.43, and that was about 15% down, which matched the dilution that they did. So for a while, that was kind of matching. I think that may have been more of a coincidence than anything else because they finished 11.7% down, and they might rally from here because we are seeing this is now very close to 40%. I mean, this is starting to get close to half and half of the people thinking that, you know what, this took a lot of risk off the table, and maybe it was the right thing to do. So I'm surprised because every single comment that I've got all day on every platform I'm on was people just furious about this. But we are seeing there's a silent, not quite half out there that are okay with this and think this was a good hedge. I mean, is that what you guys think? Do you feel like this was just a hedge? It took some risk off the table, and with that much risk on, that's what they should have done.
I think, Tom, you have to agree that helped. That helped them overall.
I think it took.
I mean, it just did. It just put them in a different,
I agree, and that's why I said at the beginning, even though I think this. So I started this for those of you who weren't here. I started this by saying, even though I think this does make them a better company, I disagree with what they did, and I wouldn't have done it. So I do understand, And so I agree. I mean, they have much less risk today than they did yesterday. They look at it this way. If they didn't have this $76, so if this, if this wasn't the ultimate outcome, so in a vacuum, when your stock's trading at $12 or $11 and someone's willing to come in, and effectively what happened is people were willing to come in and buy $417 million of their stock at a huge premium today, right? Because where did they, let's do the math. So they were down $1.50, so they were at, $12.35. So let's say people came in and paid a 25%. So they just got $417 million in equity at a 25% premium to where their stock was trading. So that's my bull case, right? If you didn't know anything else at all, you'd go, well, I guess that sounds really good because that's a huge premium to get on your stock. So from that perspective, I get it. But I do think if they had just held the course, and if they stay the course with the other, 40% of this, I think the rest of this is going to get converted not at $16 a share, but at $76 a share 3 years from now. So are they going to kick themselves 3 years from now? Maybe not. Maybe they'll say, listen, that was just prudent. We took risk off the table. We did still keep 40% of the debt. So we got paid $76 for that 40%.
Well, here's what I'm thinking, though, Tom. That this could be the high price of Marathon for the year.
For the year
Yeah.
of 2023.
Yes.
I mean, that may or may not be true, but this decision should have been made based on what is our stock price going to be, not even in December of 2026. Between now and December of 2026, is there going to be just one bull run in Bitcoin?
It scares me now thinking about Bitcoin, because do they know something that we don't?
Because
that's the reason they did this. Do you see what I mean?
This hedge means they think possibly the answer to that is yes. And obviously everything's possible. So, in that regard, they're right. But is it reasonably possible? What's the probability of that happening? Is it remote? If it's remote, you shouldn't be making major multi-million-dollar decisions based on like remote or paranoid type scenarios.
I don't think they did, Tom. I think there was a lot of people in the room that made this decision.
No, agreed.
I mean, I don't think for a second, there wasn't at least a half a dozen to a dozen people saying, well, here's where Bitcoin is. There's some rumors that Bitcoin's going down, before the EFT, ETF. George Marathon is just stupid. I've never been a big fan. I was in shock that Fred came on.
Edmund, calling it like it is.
Here's what's so amazing about this channel is I went nuts way in the beginning, and everybody changed the way they did business. And I take credit for that. I said there's no reason for everybody to hodl Bitcoin the way they were, because they need to pay for their expenses. Do you remember all this? Hopefully somebody does. I started screaming that 2 years ago.
For a long time.
2 years ago. And you know what? CleanSpark listened to me, and they changed their business model.
So it's interesting because when you say that,
so did Riot.
CleanSpark led the way. They were the first ones, and they got massive criticism. But this past month, CleanSpark just did a 100% reversal on that, and they held their Bitcoin. They hodled 600 Bitcoin this month, in the month of August.
But here's the other thing, Tom. You got to understand. I mean, it's a cash flow thing at this now. It's totally different. I mean, it's cash flow, right? If you have extra cash, what's the sense of putting it in a fiat dollar versus holding a Bitcoin? I mean, I think you would agree that it's more important to hold a Bitcoin than it is to put it in the fiat dollars, correct?
But they're not. They didn't hodl 600 Bitcoin because they're cash flow positive to that extent. They had to take that out of their cash reserves, and they got those cash reserves diluting their stock. So they can say they didn't dilute to get this, but I mean,
But they did.
That's just math. They diluted to get this.
Well, I can't tell you what how can I tell you what I saw?
Was it
They
classified?
believe, yeah, they believe.
Oh, when
CleanSpark
you're saying
believes,
when you were on site, when you were
yeah,
there, you're.
I took a picture. I
Let's
think it's
just
fair
say
game.
that you believe that CleanSpark is bullish on Bitcoin.
They are more bullish than most everybody in this chat right now. They think 100,000 by the first. I mean, this isn't a public statement from CleanSpark by any stretch of imagination, but they think 100,000 by the halving, or very close right after.
You know what? I mean, if they're 100,000 even 6 or 8 months after the halving, and I think that's the normal cycle, somewhere 4 to 8 months after halving, you start to get a big, the big part of the bull cycle. If they run to 100, then if that happens, then Marathon's going to look foolish for having done this. Now, hindsight's 2020. So, that's also not fair to say, oh, well, now that I know everything worked out in the end, it was dumb to hedge my bets, but that's always the case. So, this is getting closer and closer. So,
is it really?
It's 59 to 41. So,
wow.
A lot of people feel like, you know what, that there was too much risk on the table. I don't want to put words in people's mouth. If you have a different line of reasoning, let us know in the chat. But it seems like a lot of people feel like there was too much risk with all that debt, because they're really the only miner of the top 15 Bitcoin miners that has that type of debt. They have more debt than the next 10 largest Bitcoin miners put together by a mile. But it's all convertible debt. So to me, I've always looked at that debt as future equity. I never thought they were going to have to pay 1 penny as a result of that debt. Now, they just proved me right for $417 million of it. They just got rid of without paying a penny. But I wouldn't have done it yet. I feel like a different person might have been able to make a better deal than the $16 a share. But counterpoint, so to be fair, I'll counterpoint myself. They did get a 25% premium on their current share price to do this. So it's a tough call. This is a tougher call. Now that we're sitting here talking it out, this is a tougher call. I'm still would not.
Yeah.
I'll be crystal clear. There is no way I would have done this. If I was the person making the call, no chance. No way. But
it's like I said though, Tom. I mean, it makes them more, liquid. It's a better. They look better on a balance sheet, and that's the other thing too. They could have been losing money from certain investment groups, or somebody could have came to them and said, "Look, we would buy your stock, but we have a problem with the way you have your ratios set up," or something to that. I mean, the hedge funds do that all the time.
I think you're onto something there. I think some big money could have come to them and said, listen, we want in, but you have too much risk on the table.
Yep.
And just, as a large institutional investor, we're not going to invest in companies that have that much risk on the table. So that could be a big driving force for this. So that's a very fair point. Having said that, I would still tell them, too bad, you guys can miss the trade then, and when everybody's FOMOing a year from now, you can buy that at quadruple the price. But,
and Wisdom Bites says something very interesting, and that's Fred didn't sell anything. I don't know did you go back and you look to see if he sold anything in the last 6 months or 3 months?
I can check that out. Not quickly,
I mean,
but
you
maybe
can't
somebody
do it.
can check it out.
Don't do it on the stream.
If it was that bad for Mara price, then Fred would have sold his own Mara holdings, but he sold 0. So Wisdom Bites, fair point.
Yeah, it is a very good point. 239,000. But here's the thing: this sets them up for this could be a parabolic run after this little shakeout too.
Hello, Wesley, and hello to a lot of. Yeah, sorry, George. I'm just taking 1 second to say hello to. I think we have a lot of new people new to the channel, so I appreciate you guys joining us on the live stream. I'm Tom. George is with me here. You don't see him because he's out not on location right now, but he's on the stream with us every Friday. So we do this every Friday after the market closes. Go ahead.
And here's the other thing. we forget Marathon doesn't own anything but their machines.
Well, if you watch the interview, yes, that's true. They've had an asset light. So I encourage you guys to watch my interview with Fred. Despite whatever the case this may be with these shares, there was a lot of interesting things that I got a lot of information out of that interview. So I'm a little distressed today just on this news that was totally unexpected to me. But I did get a lot of information. And one of the things he talked about was my read on what he said is they're ditching the asset light model.
Oh, they are.
I think 3 years from now, there will be mostly self-hosting.
Well, I mean, it's the smartest way. I mean, because, when you have to rely on somebody else for your management of your contracts, of your hosting, it's never good, because you always have idiots. At least they're your own idiots. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? When you're relying on somebody else and they're an idiot, it's one thing. But when you're relying on your own people and they're an idiot, that's a whole nother thing. I'm serious. Because they don't have the best interest of your company and the shareholders' interest in heart. They just don't have it.
Zags is asking me, Tom, are you more shocked as it happened so soon after your interview? So I'm sure there's a component to that, Zags. Thank you for asking the question. I just talked to the guy and got no sense of this coming at all. It does, and I put a lot of, when I do one of these interviews, I do that's like triple my due diligence that I do when I make a regular video. So, I've been knee deep in all of their numbers, and I know them inside and out just because I studied and, had my whole interview with him, and this just was not a part of the equation, and now all of a sudden, boom, there's this new variable that wasn't on the table. So, yeah, that probably got me a little more shook than it would have otherwise, but I do think this is a surprise. And the other thing was the overwhelming majority of people that are vocal on this despise what they did. But we're seeing in our poll that it's a little more balanced than that. A lot of investors like what they did here, are at least okay with what they did, or they like what they did. So,
I'm one of them, Tom. I think it was a good deal.
So George is on that side.
Yeah.
And I started by saying I do think this does make them, I know it sounds like a conflicting statement. I do think this makes them a better investment. But I would not have done this, because I think they could have been even better than this. But in the meantime, George brought up there may be a lot of institutions that are looking at this going, not just from a debt standpoint, a ratio standpoint, this doesn't work for us, and we'd be in if not for all this. So I don't know, and obviously none of us are on the inside.
Yeah, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Probably was a good day for some big boys to buy some Marathon today. You know what I'm saying? Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. We know that they don't get that insider information ahead of time.
The thing was, so I encourage you to go look at how they got this vote passed for authorizing additional shares. It was not the standard issue way that people do this. A month or two ago, they issued about $14 million of new shares, and it was a special preferred. So they raised $14 million, and I looked at that and thought to myself, why on earth is this company that is to scale so much bigger than this? They don't do anything for $14 million. Well, it was to create another level of stock, some preferred stock. That stock, they got, I think, like 500,000 votes for every one vote that a regular share of stock got, only on the single issue of whether or not to increase the number of outstanding shares. So just as a function of that, mathematically, the preferred shares had like many multiples more. If every single shareholder in the world voted no and the preferred shareholders voted yes, that was passing. And it's legit. You're allowed to do it. They were upfront. They told everybody what they were doing. But, that to me, that just says that, I I didn't think they were doing that to go do this. I guess that's what I would say. But I think I need to ask myself a separate question. Who cares? Does it matter? Was this a good thing to do or not? And I think it's definitely, there's pros and cons to this. There's pros and cons, and hindsight's going to be 2020. I think there's a really good chance they're going to look back and go, man, do I wish we sold 26 million shares at $76, not $16. But we don't know that. We don't, that's not a certainty. So
yeah, that's future money. And
right.
I
so
understand.
That's an uncertainty, and that uncertainty's off the table.
The thing I love about you, Tom, is you look at everything as black and white. I look at it as gray. Okay? I look at it that somebody knew something and did something so somebody could make a lot of money. It's always the retail guys take it, and
you think there's greater forces at work here.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, I'm thinking it was somebody knew something and did it, and I was like, but let's move on. Seems like it's time to move on. And any other reports from any of the other Bitcoin miners?
Well, let's take a look at the other Bitcoin miners.
Everybody's talking about Riot.
Crypto Fever is here. Thank you for the
George
super chat,
wanted to
Crypto
say
Fever.
Me. I'm glad I didn't say anything, Crypto. I got $10. No, I was just we've been watching Tesla. And I called it at remember 255 or 256. I said I think this could be the run, the end of the run on Tesla.
Let's pull up Tesla.
And
First
I said,
of all,
okay.
Thank you for the super chat, Crypto Fever. Much appreciated.
So
and I'm gonna pull up Tesla.
And I think that was on Tuesday, right? I think it went up on Wednesday. I was like, man, I was an idiot. And then it's pulled back. But there's a very interesting thing going on right now in the what would you call them, Tom? The battery charged vehicles.
The EV charging stations is something I'm going to go through.
Yeah, the glorified golf cart chargers.
So we did.
That's what it is.
Just for the record, George, you said this in the Tuesday members live stream, which was after hours on Tuesday, and it looks like Tesla closed at $256 and change on Tuesday. So it is now down to 248 from there.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of things going on with EVs, and I think that what is going to happen is there's going to be a rally in EVs. I would imagine, this is my own personal opinion, not financial advice, but I think there's going to be a rally, and I think it's going to also hinge on what our United States government does to help the influx of money to make sure that it works. And I thought that would have already happened, by the way.
You think there's going to be a rally in the overall market? Sorry.
Yes. In the overall EV market.
Oh, in the EV market, you think the rally's yet to come, or that it's we missed it and it's never happening?
No. I still think it's yet to come because, I mean, you have so many companies about ready to go out of business. They're going to have real cash problems. You know? I mean, there's going to EVs, yes.
Well, a lot of these EVs, I'm on record from day one with Rivian and Lucid. Not financial advice. I think both of those companies are going out of business. I said that the day they IPO'd, each one of them, and I'm standing by that. They both lose. I was looking today. Rivian loses $3 or $4 or $5 billion a year. They're going to do so again this year, and they're forecasting that they're going to do so again next year. And you may say, well, there was a time and a place and a day where Tesla used to lose a lot of money, but they were the first movers. They were at the beginning of this, so the market was going to be tolerant to that. Well, these companies, Tesla didn't have a Tesla to compete against, and I'm not a Tesla. It's so funny. Every time I mention Tesla, everybody either assumes that I'm a Tesla fanboy if I say something that could be construed as positive, or I'm a Tesla hater if I go the other way. I'm pretty neutral on Tesla. They are what they are, but let's be honest. They're the industry leader by a mile. Their market cap is substantially more than every single other EV company of any kind, all added up, put together, and it's not even close. So they are the big boys in EV. And so a Rivian and a Lucid are going to have to deal with a Tesla. So to me, losing billions of dollars a year dealing with a company that's maybe 10 or 15 years ahead of you in the learning curve, I just don't see how they're going to get past that. I just don't see how the market's going to tolerate that from an investment standpoint. And they're going to need to raise more equity, both of those companies. Now, they have some big partners in the way of, Amazon pops to mind.
Yeah, Amazon, yeah.
And so
Rivian.
There's some money behind this, but, even companies like Amazon do not enjoy throwing good money after bad. John saying Tesla has the first mover advantage. I mean, it's just by so much, it's insane.
I don't gamble, by the way. Somebody said, I'll bet you 5K, big boy.
Crypto Fever saying, what's up with Riot and CNBC? Give us more info, Crypto Fever, because I don't know. I don't even know what's going on there. I was not aware of that.
I guess somebody said something about Riot on CNBC.
Something good, something bad. All right, so I'm on this poll. 147 votes. Thank you. That could be the most votes we ever got. 59% to 41%. So very, very split on this marathon decision. I'm shocked at the results of that poll, just based on the feedback on the internet. I think is probably somewhere between 95 and 99% negative. But I guess the people that like this stuff don't feel compelled to go on and talk about it. So, sometimes that's a good lesson for me, that sometimes that can be very misleading. Don't pay attention to social media as I'm sitting here on social media. Not financial advice. So there you go.
Oh, wow. Okay, so they wrote it in an article that wasn't correct. It says that Texas paid Bitcoin miner Riot $31.7 million to shut down during the heat wave in August. Unfortunately, this is inaccurate and causes confusion.
So the only thing inaccurate about that is that they don't pay them, but they did issue credits in that amount.
Yeah, Riot earned approximately $7 million from the Electric Reliability Council of Texas, ERCOT.
ERCOT got, but they also earned another $24 million on top of that. So it is $31 million. I think the big part of the confusion in that, and this is the case with a lot of these companies, they don't get money for that. So they don't cut a check, and get to go cash that. That's a credit against future energy use. Now, for them, they're going to use the energy. So, to them, it's as good as cash. But they're not getting paid.
Do you know what their deal was and why they got such a great deal?
I think they were first ones in, and they made the best deal. Right? There's other Bitcoin mining companies with large facilities in Texas that are just forced to curtail, and they get paid nothing for it.
Yeah, because I know CleanSpark, they don't get anything.
Right, and the vast majority of what they do is in Georgia, and
I came up with a really good idea. I'll tell you about it later. Wow, I mean, like a really good idea. Sorry.
I'm trying to keep up with the chat, but I don't know what's going on. I can't follow along. It's too much.
I'll follow. Don't worry, you're fine.
Oh, okay. You follow the chat. I'll live in my.
So, what did Riot do last month?
Riot.
How many Bitcoin did they mine?
Like 333 Bitcoin, and I'm just remembering that off the top of my head, so I'll double check and see if that's right, which is a very low number, but it's also very misleading. So I'm going to show you a chart that I do, and I'm going to start putting a few. Let me get to the chart first. Okay, so this is Bitcoin mined by month. This is for last month. I am in the middle of updating this. There's just a few companies left to report. Almost everybody's reported for the month of August, so very shortly I will put my August report out. But, so Riot in July mined 410. In August, I'm going to look. I think it was 333. Crypto Fever saying yes, it was 333. So that seems awful. That's now going to be like 7th place out of the top 10 Bitcoin miners. But they got $31 million in energy credits. So they've chosen at peak energy times to not mine Bitcoin and get these gigantic energy credits because, you know, in the long run, when we look at their annual financial statements, they will have made a lot more money as a company that way. It greatly reduces their cost per Bitcoin. Now, a lot of people are going to have mixed feelings about that because, you know, then they report, well, you know, that's the equivalence of having mined 1,076 Bitcoin or whatever the number was. But a lot of people really object to that because a lot of Bitcoin people don't want to talk about Bitcoin equivalents. They want to talk about Bitcoin, right? There's energy credits are not Bitcoin. Okay, so Crypto Fever is saying their energy credits equate to about 1,200 Bitcoin. So there's the question right there.
That's huge.
So I'm going to ask the question, like, give me just a second to type this in.
If you find this content interesting, please like it. Get it out there for other people to learn about Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners. And we have a Tuesday members only party around 4:15. And it's kind of neat because we get to talk about shares of stock, and it's everybody. It's not just me and Tom, it's everybody. We all talk about different stocks, different ideas. We still haven't got Tom on the options, but we're hoping someday to get him there on options.
I did do one options video for members. I've talked about several options plays that I make, but not nearly as many. They're fewer and far between. I did mention one on the members only on Bitfarms that I'm doing right now. It's a little high risk. It's sort of short term. So, yeah, we talk about a lot of stuff on the members only. Huh?
You and your Bitfarms.
Bitfarms.
Tom has loved Bitfarms forever.
I know. And there's, to me, I'll talk about that. I'm gonna talk about some Bitfarms because I'll tell you why I like them, and I like them going forward.
Edmund said Iris had a similar deal, produced 68 Bitcoin at the Childress in August. However, a negative electrical cost in effect, they netted about 56K per coin. That's crazy.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. Revenue is revenue. I agree with that. Doesn't matter how you get it as long as you get it and keep it. Hawaiian Electric getting sued by the same lawyers as the Cal Fires, going to zero. Everybody's saying now that they're not thinking Bitcoin's going to run until 2025. I'm starting to agree with them.
I mean, that's the normal. Well, actually, the normal cycle, 6 or 8 months after the halving, is still just near the end of 2024.
I will let everybody know I'm still DCAing into Bitcoin, and I will be doing that, and I will tell you when I stop. And 2 other, XDC and XLM. Love me some crypto. Tom, did the cat get your tongue or something?
I'm sorry, I'm typing. You know, I'm incapable of multitasking. All right, so let's put this. Oh, my question is too long. How dare they? All right, I got to knock some words out of here.
I should run the information. I'm gonna put it together this weekend for the Clean Spark video, the plant tour that I did. I'll do it this weekend. Hopefully my son will help me with that. It was real interesting. I mean, it's really, the whole immersion technology is quite interesting, and it's very quiet. And I think that was the big thing that everybody had a rough time with. So there's only one bad thing now about Bitcoin, those dirty miners, and that is electric.
And we can talk about that too, because there's much to talk about there. Let me throw this poll up, and then that's a great topic. So my poll is simple. do you like the energy credit portion of what Riot is doing, or should they just focus on mining more Bitcoin? Because a lot of what they're doing is curtailing. They curtail themselves to get paid credits. So they could just mine more Bitcoin straight up if they wanted to. So do you like what they're doing? Is this a better formula, or would you rather they just focus on Bitcoin and, you know, get as many Bitcoin as they can get, hodl as many Bitcoin as they can hodl? What do we think? Okay. Sorry, George. Just want to get that.
No, you're fine.
Up.
You're fine. Just so you know, I wrote down, I think it's good to be a good neighbor. And I think that's the one thing that, you know, Bitcoin, you know, when they do those 10-second clips about how bad Bitcoin is on the news, I think that you know, that we really, Bitcoin miners are just really good for the environment. And not only that, not necessarily the environment. I shouldn't say that. What is good for the environment? Nothing's really good for the environment if you think about it.
I know, and I wish we had a bell to ring. This is our first time over 200 concurrent viewers. So thank you everybody very much for joining us. If you enjoy this content, if we do this every Friday, we also do a lot of videos. So please, if you're not subscribed, if you would be so kind, you can subscribe to the channel. It will be much appreciated.
So, but Tom, I think what everybody's here for is marathon. But I won't say that because everybody got really mad at. But did you see Edmund? Edmund and I are almost on the exact same path. He's DCA and into Bitcoin and XRP. Wow.
I know you guys now. All you got to do, you got to start buying Iris Energy, and then you'll be right on track with Edmund. And Edmund brought something up that you guys were talking about while I was typing, which is a good point. You know, Iris had one of their facilities, and Edmund will be able to tell us which one. I can't remember off the top of my head, where they actually netted, like, their cost per coin was negative at this one. So it wasn't negative overall, but it brought their monthly cost per coin in July. It was $15,000, and with what they were able to do in energy credits, they brought that all the way down to 10,000 and change in the month of August. So, you know, that's a substantial reduction in their cost per coin by participating, you know, in these energy programs. So, you know, now's the time in the places where it's hot in the summer here, you know, now's the time some of these companies are getting paid. I will say in the places where it's cold, there's a lot less, there's the same amount of curtailment, but there's a lot less of this energy credits and revenue associated. They're more just forced mandatory curtailments. And to be fair, a big part of what the Bitcoin miners have said, to your point, George, about being good neighbors, is they have the flexibility to turn their machines off and, you know, throw that energy to the grid if we're in extreme temperatures. You know, in the extreme cold, if the Bitcoin miners turn their Bitcoin miners off and everybody gets to heat their home instead of, you know, freezing, that's good for humanity. It's good for the community. It helps the grid. So, you know, and I'll add to that. Now I'm kind of on a sidetrack, but the Bitcoin miners, especially in the cold weather in Canada, two of the Bitcoin miners use, you know, almost 100% green energy, which is Bitfarms and Hive, are almost 100%, if not 100%, in Canada. This is hydroelectric. Now, they do use other forms of energy in other places, but, you know, they're contributing to the grid. They're doing so in a very green way, and they're providing extra capacity so that when it's freezing out, you know, people can get energy. I missed, somebody did a member chat that I missed.
Mr. J.
Oh, Mr. J gifted one membership. So if you are a member and you want to give a gift, Mr. J, thank you. That's not the first time you've done that. Much appreciated. And his honor was gifted the membership. So that is at random. When you give a membership, we have nothing to do with it. That picks a person who's on the stream. I think you got to be at least subscribed to the channel to be eligible. And so congratulations to his honor. And that is from Mr. J. And thank you, Mr. J.
Mr. J.
So I'm just going to give a quick to everybody. We do have the cheapest membership on all of Anywhere. It's $5 a month. So if you're interested in Bitcoin or the Bitcoin miners, and you want to be a part of a group, and if you just want to help our channel because, we're a small channel, it's only $5 a month, and we have a members-only live stream every single week for all the members. We have a Discord 24/7 for all the members, and the members get to pick a company that they like, and I do a deep dive on it every week. So we've had some very fascinating, and this week's was Hawaiian Electric, and I learned that's a company I did not know a lot about. Obviously, they're in the news in a very high-profile way. That situation is a tragedy. So, thoughts and prayers, everybody out in Hawaii. Hopefully, obviously that was a bad situation, and, there's still some people out there that may need help. So let's hope that they get that help. Having said that, Hawaiian Electric finds themselves knee-deep right in the middle of that whole situation. So it's a fascinating situation, and that company is a much different company than I thought. It is a conglomerate involved in things that I never dreamed of, so it's an interesting watch. So we pick one of those every week as well, and we do a deep dive, and we try to learn together. We got a lot of different personalities and different people with expertise in different areas. So enough said.
So the other thing, I'm going to go back one more thing about transmission lines with the Bitcoin miners is if it's not being used, it's wasted. So if you have a transmission line and you don't have any currency going over it, it's a dead line. There's no reason for it. So Bitcoin is actually helping these states or local utility companies build out their infrastructure, and no one even thinks about that. Sorry,
right, that's the key, by providing. No, thank you, George, because that's a critical point, and there's a few loud voices trying to express this. By providing revenue to the to the grid, if you will, it's allowing us to build out. I happen to be in the United States. I know we have people from all over the world. So as always, also drop a note in the chat if you're from, tell us where you're from around the world. We have a very diverse group, and we're always interested in saying hello to the rest of the world. But, I'm in the U.S., so that's the perspective I speak from. I know our grid needs a lot of help, and I think the same is true with a lot of other countries around the world. So, we have a long way to go to modernize our grid to meet the energy needs of the future. And Bitcoin is playing a big role in that. A lot of you here, I know a lot about Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners, and it's very green energy. And that, to George's point, that wasted capacity turns into revenue instead. So, it allows them to continue to build out a bigger, better, newer grid. And, as I mentioned earlier, the Bitcoin miners use mostly green energy. Right? They're not 100% green, but they're one of the most green. What's happening, George? That you're laughing?
I'm just laughing because I came up with a T-shirt. Like you a saying on a T-shirt, and I was just realizing what I was writing on it, and I can't even say it on the air. It's really funny though. I'm sorry, guys.
You're going to have to go to George's future merch site, which doesn't exist yet, and he can tell you what the T-shirt...
It's just so funny, because you think about, just the words that you talk... When we talk about Bitcoin miners, and then you realize that they're dirty, and you can figure what I'm talking about.
Am I saying something that is a double entendre that can be misconstrued?
Yes. That's what I do, Tom.
Great. See, I'm so wrapped up in what I'm saying, I didn't even know. So, JJT Peters, welcome from the Netherlands. JJT has been with us for a long time, so thanks for sticking with us.
So, Tom,
thick and thin.
As we talk, I forgot about the deep dive you did on these miners here the other week, these Bitcoin miners. When do you think we will be able to put that out? And by the way, this one, Tom, how many hours did you spend doing this?
I did a massive analysis that beyond what I've done in the past, and it's globally of every single one, large and small, of all the Bitcoin miners. And by all, I follow 19 Bitcoin miners. So I know there are some others out there that are micro cap or nano cap that are not necessarily on my list. But for the by and large, I cover most of the publicly traded Bitcoin miners in North America. And I did the deepest dive I've ever done by far. It took me weeks and weeks and weeks to do. And I came up with some conclusions. So I've been saying lately, and we talked on the members only stream, I think there's going to be winners and losers. So the longer we go on this, it's becoming more and more clear to me.
And I think we said GREE. Was GREE the one you spoke about last?
The one that I disclosed to the members that, you know, I don't want to just spit information out there. I'd like to put it out in an organized way, but I will tell you the Bitcoin miner I have the least conviction in, the Bitcoin miner that, in my opinion, not financial advice, in my opinion, is by far the most likely to not make it, is GREE.
And what was your reasoning behind that? I mean, you want to say that, or no, you don't?
I mean, there's a lot of different reasons behind that. It has to do with their debt, their cash flow, their profitability. I measured everything under the sun. I looked at every ratio under the sun.
Okay. If they raise money, or if they, do some type of
the problem
something.
Let me answer that, because that's a great question. Let's go look at.
Great question, everyone. Did you hear that? Thank you.
Well done, George. Great question.
Thank you. Woohoo!
The problem is GREE has a $32 million market cap. So even if they were to dilute 100%, that's only going to raise them $32 million. So they have we talk about this all the time. There's three ways to raise money. Through operations, to be cash flow positive. Through debt, which is out of the question for Bitcoin miners. That is just not on the table. There are some Bitcoin miners that are able to take very small amounts of very short-term debt, but the industry has been steering clear of it, and the terms are horrendous. So, and then the third option is through equity. Now, when you're a $32 million market cap, like I said, if you dilute 100%, all you've done is raise $32 million. And in reality, if you do that, you're going to erode, as you do that, you're going to erode your market cap and end up raising even a lot less than that. So there's just not a lot of cash available to them going forward. So, if you look at all the pieces of the puzzle, I don't see the path to success for this company. Now, nothing is certain, right? There's always risk and potential reward in every investment. And I always do like to talk about, and if, this is not just words that I say, the Bitcoin miners are extremely volatile and they are high risk plays, even the ones that I have a super high level of conviction in. I have several that I've been adding to, and if they go lower, I will keep adding to. I like those. I'll tell everybody what those are. The people, who have been here for a long time know I have a very high level of conviction in CleanSpark, Bitfarms, and Iris Energy. I do have others beyond that I think are going to be very successful. So I'm not saying those are the only three that are going to come out of this, but when I look at the risk reward, to me, those are three that I think are going to succeed and that I think are undervalued versus their peers at this time. So that list could change over time, right? If CleanSpark were to double in market cap, I'd still hold them and have the same level of conviction, but they would no longer be the best value to me because, they would have made up their value. So, it's an evolving, ever-changing list. But at the moment, for the last 100-plus days, I think those three have been the best value. Those are the three I've been dollar cost averaging into, not financial advice. Let me know, drop in the comments which ones you guys are buying into. And I have positions in other companies than that. So I have outsized amount of my portfolio in Bitcoin miners. I've told you guys that before. Over 50% now, or somewhere near that anyway, as it fluctuates up and down. And that's not standard procedure. So I understand that. But
there was something that we haven't even really given much talk to because it's been going on forever, and that's HUT and their merge. Do you know when was the vote going to be and what is going on with it? I
believe today is the 8th. I think we are 4 days away from that vote being finalized. I think the 12th is the date. So I will tell you, Sue is going to come on the channel after the vote. We talked, and, she said she would be glad to come on before the vote. But
Is it going to be a reveal?
well, after the vote, there's a lot more things that aren't, everything before the vote, it's a different process, and there's a lot of things you can't disclose. But once the vote is over, I think we're going to be able to have talk about a lot more things. So to me, I thought the timing was better. So she agreed to come on after the vote. So we'll be having Sue on the channel sometime by the end of September. We didn't pick an exact date.
That's good. And so so my whole problem with it, it's what is it? A value of a merger of equals, quote unquote?
It's a merger of equals. That's exactly right. So it's an all stock deal. It's a merger of equals, and I urge people, if you're interested in adding to the opening a position in this or adding to this position, I urge you to look at the details of how that works. I did a video on this. Did I do that for everybody or just for members? I can't.
I don't remember.
Oh, you know what? That was a members only video, but I've talked about this before. And if you go on the website, Sue has explained this in detail. They also have a frequently asked questions section where they explain this in detail. Because remember, it looks like they're doing a reverse split, but I want everybody to be careful because it's two things. It's because the two companies have a different number of shares and it's a merger of equal. What they're doing is finding a common denominator, and you're going to convert your existing shares of HUT into what they're calling new HUT. The new company will still be HUT. You're just going to have less shares. So the math on the HUT side is a lot easier than the math on the other side. You will now have you're going to have 1 share of the new company for every 5 shares that you have of HUT. So that looks and feels a little bit like a reverse stock split, but also remember, there's going to be 50 in a perfect world. If everybody 100% agrees that this is a merger of equals, there's going to be a 50% dilution event simultaneous with that. So that dilution event could be even greater than that if people don't think this is a merger of equals. So I guess that's the advice I would give. Pay close attention to that. I have a feeling there's going to be a buying opportunity. I like HUT. Their balance sheet is a big, big part of my, HUT thesis. And they have the second largest hodl of Bitcoin. And I think these two companies, whether or not they're exact equals, I think matters. It matters a lot, on the first or second day of the merger. But 1 or 2 or 3 years from now, if they've merged their companies together and grown as a function of that into what they're planning to grow into, then it's going to be a much bigger, much better, much more valuable company. So I like this merger. I think there may be a buying opportunity. That's my own personal opinion.
So,
sometime in the short term here.
Question. Ken just said this. Did they only mine like 100 coins last month?
Yes, their existing mining operations are scaled back. They had 3 facilities. One was shut down. They are in a dispute with Validus, which ultimately I think is going to end up in their favor in a big way. That may be nearing a resolution. But in the meantime, they shut that completely down. Another one of their facilities had some electric problems, or, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say that it had some electric problems, so they had to almost shut that down. In reality, what's happening, I think, to them, also they're doing a lot of self-curtailment. Their current energy deals in Canada have turned negative, and so part of their diversification is the vast majority of their Bitcoin mining is going to be in different geographic locations now. So a lot of that is going to come from, their new company that they're merging with has several different spots in the United States. So I think they're going to I think they will immediately be at 7.5 exahash should this merger occur. So I think their number of Bitcoin in their mine is going to go right back up to a good number post merger. Their cost per coin is going to go down, but there's no doubt they ran into some issues. I mean, that's just the reality. So
yeah, my problem is they've been taking way too long to get this vote done. This is ridiculous.
Well,
That's the only reason why I'm not for it.
we're at the finish line. I mean, we're 4 days away.
But think about it. When did they announce it? February?
Yes.
6 months? Is that normal?
It's not abnormal.
Well,
This is
because TikTok, the halving's coming. And, these are like crucial months in the Bitcoin mining world. Do you disagree?
No, I don't disagree. This would have been awesome.
Yeah.
If this took
They could've-
75 days instead,
Yeah.
then a lot of things. Number one, we would know by now whether or not this was progressing the way that we wanted it to. We would know if that exahash, we'd have financial statements that showed they mined this number of Bitcoin, the cost per coin is this much. So we'd have a lot more information. So for all those reasons, it's absolutely true. It would be great if this had happened earlier. But we are going to get 1 or 2 quarters worth of data prior to the halving. Assuming this merger goes through, right? I mean, that's still an assumption. This vote is not done.
You're being maybe 1 quarter. I mean, we're almost at the end of the 3rd quarter, Tom. You know what I mean? And I would imagine it'll take a minute, so we're going to get 1 full quarter.
We'll have the 4th quarter's information. The 1st quarter will be done, but we won't have that info on the actual day of the halving. We'll have it maybe a month later. So that's true.
Yeah, it's just sad because it seemed like such a good thing when they first announced it. It was awesome. And thank you for all your comments. And just so everybody knows, Sue's creeping on me. I'm not creeping on her. I just want to get that out there.
If you say so. Barry
hey, in my mind,
will be top 3 by the end of the year.
Really?
I don't know if I don't know from a time frame standpoint, but I will tell you, I mean, they have a top 3 balance sheet. I defy anybody to debate me on that. They have a top 3 balance sheet. The question is, what's their operations look like 3 months from now, a year from now? Are they gonna, is everything gonna pull together the way that they want it to? And if it does,
you guys are so funny. Go on.
Top 3 is tough. I mean, there's big competition out there. You have here's what you have. Marathon, and now I know we talked a lot about Marathon today, and we see there's a lot of mixed feelings there. You have Riot, which is, got just from a balance sheet, I'm talking top balance sheets. Riot, Hut, and Marathon's balance sheets are just significantly larger than everybody else's. That's just the reality. Now, there's other people with very good balance sheets. They just are not to scale the way that those 3 are. And then from an operations standpoint, you've got Marathon that's, mining over 1,000 Bitcoin a month. You've got Core Scientific that, from an investment standpoint, I don't know where that stands because they're in Chapter 11. So remember, everything changes coming out of Chapter 11. So that I don't know how that's going to end up for current shareholders, but that they look like they're going to come out of that and be a force. They're still mining close to 1,000 Bitcoin a month. You've got CleanSpark mining 639 Bitcoin, I think, this month. So, and they've got another 6 exahash to come online. So you've got CIFR. You've got a lot of players. So top 3 is tough, but their balance sheet is certainly top 3. And there's going to be, in my opinion, a lot more than 3 that succeed. I did say there will be winners and losers, and it could be, a pretty equal amount. But I think there's going to be, there could be 5, 6, 7 that, are very successful. There could be 5 or 6 or 7 that go out of business after the halving. A lot of that depends on the price of Bitcoin, the global hash rate, obviously, operationally, how each company performs.
If I can remember the code on my credit card, I'm going to gift 5 memberships. But you got to remember the code on the credit card, and that's the problem.
So if you're not subscribed and you care and you're interested in membership, I do think you have to be subscribed to the channel, which is free, of course, to subscribe. And even if you don't care about a membership, if anybody who's interested and enjoy the content, please subscribe.
Yeah, I should wait. I never thought of that.
What? Wait for what?
For people to subscribe.
Well, how do you know if anybody's subscribing?
Because we're awesome.
Let's see if I'm able to tell, because I don't think despite the fact that this is supposed to be real time.
Uh-oh. Your credit card declined the payment. Declines are often due to insignificant funds. Sorry, guys.
Uh-oh. Well, according to my statistics from YouTube, which I think are not accurate, they're not so good at real-time information, but they're saying we've gotten 4 subscribers.
Woohoo!
On this live stream. So I don't believe that. So please subscribe to the channel.
4.
That's it.
Tom, you did it. I said 3, Tom.
It.
You said 4. Okay. Now I hooked up my PayPal account to it.
Very good. I'm going to end this poll. Do you like Riot? Do you like the energy credit portion of Riot, or should they just focus on mining? 53%, another super split poll. 53% like the energy deal that they got. 47% would prefer they just focus on Bitcoin mining. So, margin of error, that's a tie. So people are totally conflicted on Riot. And I think that's reflective of the comments I've gotten over time and of the discussions we've had, George, inside the members and in our general live streams. People seem to be pretty split on Riot.
Now, because Mr. J just said an awesome comment, I went up to 10. I figured, why not?
Oh, did Mr. J just do that? Subscribe. We are awesome. Thank you, Mr. J. We are awesome. We have the most awesome members.
Remember my statement?
Tell everybody your statement.
We have the highest net worth of any other YouTube channel. Our members. Unconfirmed.
We can neither confirm nor deny that statistic, but as far as we're concerned, we have the best, smartest. I'll tell you this, we have the best conversations. We have the best, and we have a public Discord and a private Discord, and you really get to see the difference of what a membership makes when you do that, because the public Discord, everybody's free to have their own opinion, but it oftentimes melts down into unproductive conversation. In the private Discord, we really have a lot of people bringing a lot of good information in, and so it's a lot of sharing of information, and I think highly productive conversations. A lot of it's about Bitcoin, but we do have other people that talk about some other industries as well, and they bring us some information that we wouldn't otherwise know. George, did you just do 10?
Yeah, I told you I was going to do 10.
All right, George, can you do any better? Has gifted 10 free memberships. JR was gifted a membership. This is
Are you going to read them all?
This is our I can't use this person now. They're ridiculed, so.
What do you mean?
I was going to reference somebody, but everybody's mad at her right now, so I don't want to get sidetracked.
I thought you were going to talk about BitBoy.
JR.
By the way, I called that a scam, everybody. BitBoy crypto, that was a scam. That's the biggest scam
for those
I've ever seen in my life.
BitBoy and his crypto channel, George called out that he thinks this is all staged and it's a scam.
100% staged. They had no views, nothing going on. They announced they kick them out. Their views go through the freaking roof.
Yeah, they had a video where he came on and gave some type of apology or something, and it was like the best video they've had. And
yeah, it was insane. It's like 1,000 views, 10,000 views, 5,000 views. Boom, 200,000 views.
Welcome to, so I'm taking from the top. Welcome to the club. Welcome to the Talking Investing Squad. JR, Mark, Ryan, Vector Recovery, Rock, Pia 4. Let's see. Justin, Alex, Damien, and Ironhead.
And that's going to be Tuesday at 4:15?
I don't know if there's more people that I missed. Yes, that is. So every Tuesday at 4:15 Eastern, which is 15 minutes after the U.S. equity markets close. We have a members-only chat. So you guys are a members-only live stream. You guys are all welcome to join.
Interesting, isn't it? I'm sorry, Chris.
Good
that you
investment
didn't get
for the
one.
channel. I'm worth it. Oh, I mean, and also just so you guys know, like George doesn't get to pick. He gifted 10 memberships, but the algorithm just picks 10 people that are on the stream. So we can't
We
do
have
it
no
if we
control
want.
of that. We can't.
Sour Melon
Tom,
Gaming said join the membership. $5 is extremely minimal compared to the value it provides. Tom and George brought me from a multi-six-figure loss to a multi-six figures again. I would have given up if not for them. Well, I'm glad. Thank you, Sour Melon Gaming, and I always like to say also thank yourself, because I'm glad we were here to, give support and moral support and otherwise, but you need to take credit for staying in your conviction.
staying the course.
That's right, and turning it around, and that is a massive turnaround. And we've had a lot of those stories. We've privately had a lot of people say stuff like that to us. So thank you, Sour Melon Gaming, for saying that publicly. And I'm glad that worked out for you. Obviously, that's life-changing scenario. So congratulations, and thanks for
welcome,
mentioning
Mark.
it.
I will tell you this. What's weird is that if there were, I always say this to Tom about Bitcoin. If there was already an ETF or EFT, I always say it wrong.
Yep.
I would have a totally different opinion about Bitcoin. But because there isn't, I still believe at some point in time the Bitcoin is going to the moon. Don't know when it is. I have not given up on it.
You're saying if we already had an ETF and we were sitting here trading at $26,000, then you'd say, well, maybe this doesn't look so good. But with that huge catalyst out there, you feel
I don't think, and somebody was talking about that. I don't think that's happening this year.
That is the source of much debate, and I read several articles over the last 3 days. Some high-profile people are all but certain it's going to happen by the end of the year. I do not. Don't have that. I'm not confident of that. I think there's a chance it could. I think there's a chance it could happen by the end of the year. So yes, shortly thereafter, on January 10th, is the drop dead date for the ARK application. ARK Investment is applied for an ETF. Theirs is the first one that reaches that date. So that's right after the year end. But so far, every single time it's been no. So I feel very strongly this will happen before the halving. So I think that the SEC is pretty much out of runway. They're out of excuses. They've gotten a stern wrist slap from the courts saying that you were wrong. What your rejection was wrong. Period. It was not appropriate, and it was. I mean, they used some. I don't want to misquote it, but I'll post it later. They used some extremely harsh words that really essentially saying what the SEC did in denying that grayscale application was egregious. So, I think they're losing. There's only so far they can push this. So I do think it's inevitable. I think it'll happen before the halving. That's my opinion.
So then I have one more question, Tom, and I got to sneak out after this question.
All right.
Because, I've been getting yelled at lately. But anyways, I've been married for 27 years as of yesterday.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
That's incredible.
I can't believe she hung in there, but kudos to her. She picked a winner. So here's my question.
You might have won on that deal, my friend.
Yeah,
well, you both won.
No, they always say in the car business there's an ass for every seat. So I'll leave it at that. Bitcoin. I still think it's going down.
So that'll be the.
So that is the other thing. Tom feels very confident it's going up. I still feel it's going down. I don't think it's shaken out. But here's the question. Do you think there's a lot of rumors about this, and then the what was his name? Michael Bloom is talking about he shorted the triple Q, I think, right?
Yep. Michael Burr, I think his
Burr,
name is.
that's
The
it. Burr.
guy who's famous, he's from The Big Short.
Are you worried about anything like that, of this big crazy thing happening, maybe the end of this month or maybe sometime next month? Of total meltdown financially in the stock market? That's the question.
You want that to be the poll?
No, yeah, that should be a good poll, actually, yeah. And then we could talk about it. I mean, is anybody have any of those thoughts or rumors or think that way? Or is it just me and spending too much time on TikTok? Oh,
I'm
sorry.
going to say in 2023.
Right.
Are you worried about
That's
a
the
financial
question.
meltdown in 2023? I don't know why it says back to. I got to end this poll. What has it done to me? Because that makes no sense. That should say yes. Sorry to the people who have voted. I'm ending that and just retyping it quickly. My apologies.
We got 6 votes. It was 50-50.
Are we going to say a short-term financial meltdown or just a financial?
Yes. Oh, short-term financial meltdown. I mean, we only got really a quarter left for the year, a quarter and a month. I'm just curious what people think.
Okay, this will be back up properly. Are you worried about a short-term financial meltdown by the end of 2023? Yes or no? So let's see what people think. I mean, the amount of fear out there is huge.
It is. It's huge. That's why I was thinking there might be a pump.
There's all kinds of talk, and it's been all year. The fear and greed index is okay. It's moving back in the right direction. It was down, hanging down. This is the crypto fear and greed index. So it's been in fear for a while now. I'm going to go down and look at the year, but
we talked about Marathon. If you want to go back, we talked about it for a good half an hour. I thought it was good. Tom thought it was bad. But watch it, because if we talk about it again, someone will shoot us, I'm sure.
So you can see, even with this dip in the fear and greed index, it's trending back in the right direction, right? We got down into the high 30s for a bit in August, and that was the lowest it's been since all the way back. We had a quick dip. If you remember, in March, we had just a big dip in crypto for a couple of days. That's the only time all year this year we've been under 40, really. Then we got back there again, but I think we're on the mend. So, you guys vote your answer in the poll, but if I was voting, I don't think we're going to have a meltdown. But I didn't think that
My thing is, we got to get past October before I can say it. That's all I have to say. That's all I got to say about that.
And that's all I have. Congrats, George. You're breaking Sue's heart. I'm seeing short-term. This is from Crypto Fever. I'm seeing short-term downside. This is a seasonal correction that will find a bottom soon. Still expecting new all-time highs by the end of the year for S&P. Too many bears. Andrew saying, always worried, but don't think it will happen because everyone's predicting it.
I don't know. I think it's probably, this is going to be an interesting poll to see. I have a feeling it's going to be very close to 50-50.
I've been shocked by both of the polls. Well, shocked. I've been surprised by both of the polls today. I was actually shocked by the marathon poll. That I thought that was going to be 99% to 1%, and it was 59 to 41. Chris Dominator saying it's an election year, George. We will be bullish.
Well, that's next year. That's why I think that, it could fall apart and then take back off. My biggest thing right now is oil. That's what's scaring me.
Oh, we're going to look at oil. I got that pulled up. But first, I want to thank Edmund. Edmund said, at Sour Melon Gaming, ditto. Tom and George are great. Thank you, Edmund. Edmund's given us a lot of excellent input to the group. He was the first one. I don't know if he was the first one invested, but he was the first one calling out Iris Energy, and it's up, hundreds of percent since Edmund started pounding the drum on Iris. And that is one of the three that I've been buying into big time this year. So, for whatever that's worth, not financial advice. Perfect Water Pool said, I'm in the same boat as Sour Melon. I was 50K in the hole, and I'm now 150 in the green. Thanks, guys. You are welcome, and congratulations to you, Perfect Water Pools. That is an awesome story. And please, everybody, share your success stories, because I will tell you, there's a lot of fatigue in this market, and people are exhausted, and a lot of people, depending on when you got in, some people got in at the wrong time and they're still down right now. So it's encouraging for them to hear your story that, at one point we all got, at one point it was the wrong time. I got in at the wrong time. But now time has passed. I have plenty of positions I'm green on that I was at one point so red on it seemed unthinkable that I would get back to green. And a lot of them have. So that's the journey.
I'm still down, guys, because I've been nervous. I'm not going to lie.
George has bounced in and out a lot, but George, to your credit, I think you are now in the groove of dollar cost averaging. You were not dollar cost averaging the last few years.
I can tell you what. Sorry, I shouldn't say it this way, but you lose a couple six figures. You're really happy. You can take some advantages on taxes.
Well, see, there you go. There's a silver lining for every cloud. Let's see, I'm just going through as we vote. I'm going through these comments. JR said the banks are effed.
That's the thing. See, I think the next, whether they go up in the interest rates or not, I think that's going to be the time we'll know for sure what's going to happen.
Yes, and I think that's going to have 100% everything to do with, so I'll show you right now. So the CME futures are still sitting firmly at 93% priced in that there will not be a rate hike in September. Now, there's one gigantic data point coming out in between now and then, which is August CPE. If that number is hot, if that number goes the wrong way, this could change. But if it doesn't, then I do think, the Fed, I think they should be done raising rates. That's my personal opinion. We can do a quick poll on that too. And it's for what JR just said. The banks are effed. If they raise rates 2 more times, there's going to be bad things for some of these regional banks. Edmund is saying something that a date I've been not patiently waiting for. Iris fiscal year 2023 results, Wednesday, September 13th. So that is this coming Wednesday, next week after the market, and then their conference call at 5 p.m. So thanks, Edmund, for pointing that out to everybody. That's the final piece to my puzzle. I have so many videos I want to do, but I did not want to leave Iris Energy out of all of them. So because it's their year end, they're reporting, a month later than everybody else, but I will have the final piece of the puzzle together. I'm looking forward. I think I know what to expect, but sometimes until you see those financials, you don't know for sure. So to me, that's a big, big deal, and I'm glad that's finally here.
Well, yeah, I think that once the dollar starts to lose its value, Bitcoin will fly.
Garrett's saying, I sold Nano Dimensions today, and also saying, please cover Fubo. So I'm going to have to do another deep dive on Fubo. They have I did several videos on them. It's been a long time now. Between a year ago and 2 years ago, I did 2 or 3 videos on them, and I would like to do another deep dive on them. They were at the brink of extinction, and they're in a much better place right now, in my personal opinion. But you know, I have not done a full deep dive on that, but you know, I've always liked what that company does. They were very short on cash, was a problem, and I think they're in a better place, but that's definitely not financial advice. I would need to really update my due diligence big time on that one.
Well, I'm going to sneak out, guys.
All right, George, thank you for the 10 free memberships to everybody.
Yeah,
Thanks for your time, effort,
watching.
energy.
It's been real fun, guys. Hopefully we'll see you next Tuesday.
All right, George. Thank
See you,
you.
buddy. Bye.
Chris is saying Fubo won't be under $3 ever again, in my opinion. Fubo's been flying. Do you own Fubo? I have a very small position in Fubo just to track it. So I really I didn't capitalize. I didn't lose on the Fubo trade. I'm not winning on the other side. But it is a stock I'm interested in. I got out of Fubo. If you guys remember way back when, Fubo was at $60 at one point. And then their lockup period ended and they plummeted to like $20. And to me, I was like, wow, this is the buying opportunity for Fubo. I got in and out quickly, and I've just only ever dabbled since then. And obviously, they're down drastically even from that point. Stephen English, I wish George just hadn't hung up, because he has a few altcoins that he's interested in, and I don't want to misquote him. But there is 2 more coins, so we'll have to get him in the next members only. He's got 2 more coins he's starting to buy. I am not buying any altcoins. I'm some people might say I'm a Bitcoin, what do they call it? Maximalist. Well, but I'm not, because I do believe there will be several other coins that survive, but I do also believe 99% of the coins will disappear. But that still leaves a lot of coins, whether it's 8 or 15 or 30. You know, I do think there will be other projects that succeed, but I don't know nearly as much about that. I've only done some deep dives on 4 or 5 of those. The rest I'm in the dark on, so I don't want to talk about what I don't know what I'm talking about. Edmund saying, George, Bitcoin and XRP will fly as dollar weakens and various countries look for a world currency. Listen, that's how I feel. I know George is big into XRP. He did dollar cost averaging. He's kept his entire position in that. And I did a deep dive video for the members on XRP. That is either tied for or the video that I spent the longest on. That had to be much more than 100 hours of research on my part before I was able to do my XRP video. It took me a better part of 2 months to get that video done. But XRP is by far the most complicated in a lot of ways, but I do think it has a use case that is, you know, potentially gigantic. So I like XRP. Obviously, I like Bitcoin. H. Odd is saying, stay away from altcoins. Edmund is saying, that's Stephen English, QNT and XLM. And XLM, I will say, that is also one of the ones that George is interested in. So I'll share that on his behalf. Nash V is saying there's 17,000 altcoins. Yeah, and only 1 Bitcoin. And there's a reason there's still 2 categories, Bitcoin and altcoins. Even Ethereum is actually an altcoin. So obviously it's by far the largest altcoin, but you know, still Bitcoin dominance is very close to 50%, meaning all the other coins put together, added up, approximately equal just Bitcoin alone. H. Odd is saying the dollar is about to reverse, folks. That would be nice. We'll see. I think that's due or overdue or long overdue, and I think everybody would benefit from that. Certainly, Bitcoin would benefit from that. So, I'm waiting. I'm waiting and waiting. Everybody keeps talking about the dollar reversing, and that it's unhealthy how strong it is right now. It needs to pull back. So I'm waiting for that. But time will tell. Crypto Fever said, gotta run. Take care. Stephen English, admin. Quant does look interesting. Limited supply. JR, respect and appreciate your research, Tom. Thank you, JR. Thanks for saying that. I do spend a ridiculous amount of time, but I will tell you guys, I mean, it's kind of a hobby as well as, you know, in addition to the fact that I invest in this. So I do enjoy it. Some of these are tough, though. Sometimes with the members, there was a period of time where I thought you guys were, you know, getting together and pranking me and just picking the hardest possible deep dive you could find for me. But you know what? We got through them, and there was a lot of awesome companies in there. So, and a lot more to follow. Let's just look at the poll, and I'll wrap it up pretty soon because it's 89 degrees in this house, and we talked for a while. For those of you who don't know, it's 89 degrees. My air conditioner is broke, which is why it's Casual Friday for me. This is the first time I've ever worn a t-shirt on a video or a stream, but it is hot in here. Are you worried about a short-term financial meltdown by the end of the year? Yes, 43%. We have 75 votes, so we got a lot of people participated. Thanks for your participation. 57% think no. I think no, but also, who could possibly predict? Anything could happen. So, I don't think we're moving in the wrong direction. I certainly don't think Bitcoin's moving in the wrong direction. I want to get back to the Bitcoin chart, and I'm going to go to the 1 day, which I'm not sure we've looked at. So for those of you who joined late, we're going to wrap it up pretty soon. But we spent a lot of time talking about Marathon. Marathon got rid of $417 million of their debt today. They had convertible debt of about $734 million. $417 million they just converted to equity at a price of $16 a share, which was a very nice premium on their share price. And after today's pullback, it's a big premium on their share price. So from that respect, a lot of people actually thought this was a good move. So in the comments section and the general overall louder voices in social media absolutely destroyed Marathon for this. But when we voted, and we got, the most votes we've ever gotten on a poll, when we voted, was this a good move or a bad move? 41% of people liked what Marathon did. They thought it mitigated their risk. They were taking on too much risk with that, and they had an opportunity to get rid of some, and they liked that move. So I understand that. I started this stream by saying I think that this move makes Marathon a better company, but I don't like the move, and I would not have done it myself. I probably, I have a higher level of risk tolerance, and, they're a publicly traded company. They have a duty to their shareholders, and, George mentioned there may be a lot of institutional money that, just doesn't like that risk on their balance sheet, and they would be investing in them if not for that potentially. So I don't know that to be the case, but that's a real reasonable theory. So it was a lot closer than we thought, and so that was Marathon. I want to go to the 1 day on Bitcoin. So Bitcoin was very sideways once again today. We have been ultra sideways. We're at 25,800. We did pop up over 26,000. We spent almost 4 days under 26,000 100% of the time. So it was nice to see us pop up over that, but we've pulled back right back to where we've been for a while, which is somewhere in, we're at 25,900. We've been somewhere around 25,700 plus or minus for days and days and days. Let's go to the 1 day, and you can see, this is a long period of time. I'm just going to do a little info line. right? If I go back here, because we had this big pullback on August 17th. So, if I go to August 18th till now, that's 22 days that we've been very sideways, right? This line from here to here, this is a lot of sideways activity. This rate, obviously we had a kind of a fake out in the middle, but and we were already, this arrow right here, this yellow arrow is a clone of this yellow arrow. So in length of time, both of these are 20% pullbacks. So, and there's another yellow one right here. So Bitcoin has had 20% pullbacks this year. We're in the middle of the third one. However, this one just keeps lingering. We got a 20% pullback, and now here we are sideways for another 22 days, inside of that. So where does this go? I have a high level of confidence that 25,200, which is what I said for a long time. This purple line is at 25,200. This line's been on my chart for a long time. This goes back to, this is August of 2022. So this line is over a year old, and you can see it was complete resistance in August of 2022. It was resistance the next time we got anywhere near it. We failed. It was resistance again. As soon as we got through this in March of 2023, it's been support ever since. So we have not had a daily candle close below this. And really, all of these daily candles over the last 22 days, they're really, many hundreds of dollars away from this line. So although we've touched the line once or twice, this has been ultra strong support. So in my opinion, we have bottomed. We're going sideways for a lot longer than I expected, and there's just no telling how long. But unless and until we break through this 25,200 on the daily time frame, if we close a candle below this and then close another one the next day and confirm that, then I'll say maybe we got to look at what comes next. And I've talked about, I really do think there's very little support in the middle. There's a couple people that have some lines of support. I have a super weak line of support at 22.8, but I think we're likely, if this does not hold, I think there's a pretty reasonable chance we would run down to 20,000. All of this to me is short term because I'm still very bullish on Bitcoin between now and the halving. So I think by the halving we'll be at higher prices, whether that's 45,000, 55,000. I'm not, nobody knows, but that's my personal opinion in a nutshell of where we are on Bitcoin. That's my thoughts on what happened with Marathon, which I know was the big news of the day by far today. So thank you everybody for joining on the live stream. This was I'm playing through the heat today. It's 89 degrees in my house. The AC is broken. It's been broken for 4 days. We still can't get somebody out here to fix it, so we're on the schedule, but it looks like it's going to be the weekend as well. So that's why I'm in dress down mode here in a t-shirt. So it's dress down Friday on account of the heat. But still, pleasure. Thank you, everybody. Big numbers on the stream today as far as people joining us. So much appreciation. And I'm going to end this poll. Just special thanks to all of our existing members. Welcome to all the new members. I think there was 11 new members in total today. They were all gifted by Mr. J, 10 by George. So welcome to all the new members, and thank you to all the existing members. I see Nash V, as of a few minutes ago, was still on here. His Honor, Scott, Sour Melon, JR, Steven, Crypto Fever, Edmund. If I missed you, then my apologies, Chuck. So thanks to all the existing members. If you are not a member, you can become a member by hitting the join button. It's right next to the subscribe button on the YouTube page. Membership is only $5 a month. There is an awful lot of value that comes with that, so you can check that out, look into that if you're interested. If not, we would at least appreciate if you subscribe to the channel if you're interested in this content. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this live stream. I know I did. Thanks for everybody's contributions, and have a great weekend, everybody. Let's see what Bitcoin does. I'm looking for Bitcoin to stay above 25,200. I'm really looking for it to hang around where it is and stay above, 25,700. It would be great if it could reestablish above 26,000, and then let's see if we can get some momentum. So we'll see what happens. Those are my thoughts, not financial advice. Thank you, everybody, very much again, and have a fantastic weekend.